We've been told for decades that the purpose of business is to make money. But what if I told you that's not entirely true? What if I told you money isn't the purpose of business? It's simply the result. Somewhere along the way, we got confused. We started to believe that chasing profit is what builds a great company. But when we look at the most inspiring organizations, the ones that last, that people are proud to work for and loyal to, we see something very different. These businesses don't obsess over money, they obsess over why they exist, who they serve, and how they can leave a lasting impact. And the money, it follows. So today, let's break down what money actually means in the world of business and why understanding its real role is the key to sustainable success, fulfillment, and purpose-driven growth. There's a fundamental misunderstanding that's infected modern business thinking, the belief that money is the reason a company exists, that it's the goal, that a successful business is defined purely by how much profit it makes, how fast it scales, how quickly it dominates the market. But the truth is, money is not the reason a business exists. It's the result of doing something else well. It's the byproduct of delivering value, solving problems, building trust, and creating something that genuinely matters to people. When we treat money like the purpose, we end up making decisions that erode long-term success in favor of short-term gain. But when we see money for what it really is, a measurement of the value we've created, everything changes. Think about it this way. If you were running a marathon, the finish line might be the ultimate goal, but would you start the race with your eyes glued to the ribbon at the end? Of course not. You'd focus on your pace, your breath, your form. You'd make sure you were fueled, focused, and steady. The finish line would come as a result of running the race well. That's exactly how money works in business. It's the finish line, but if you're not paying attention to how you're running the race, you won't make it there. Or worse, you'll get there broken, burnt out, or having lost what mattered most along the way. The best companies in the world don't wake up each day asking, how can we make more money? They ask, how can we serve more people? How can we do better work? How can we innovate in a way that creates real value? That mindset shift is critical because money at its core is a reflection. It reflects the choices we've made, the culture we've built, the leadership we've embodied. If we want better financial results, we need to focus on better inputs: our mission, our people, our customers, and our integrity. When a company starts chasing money as the sole purpose, it almost always comes at a cost. Corners get cut, relationships get transactional, culture starts to decay, employees stop believing, customers feel the shift, trust erodes, and even if the profits go up in the short term, the foundation starts to crack. Contrast that with a company that knows its purpose, that serves with authenticity, that leads with empathy, and that sees money as fuel for a larger mission. That company builds loyalty. That company builds resilience. That company attracts the right people for the long haul. There's also a leadership element here that can't be ignored. If you're a leader and you treat money as the goal, your team will start to see themselves as tools to get you there. They'll feel used, not valued. But if you lead with purpose and make it clear that money is a sign you're doing things right, your team will rally around something bigger than themselves. They'll innovate, they'll take ownership, they'll push for greatness, not because you told them to, but because they believe in the why behind the work. That's how you build a team that doesn't just meet targets but surpasses them, because they're emotionally and intellectually invested. So the next time you find yourself asking, how do we make more money? Pause and reframe the question. Ask instead, how do we create more value? How do we deepen trust? How do we make a difference? Because when you focus on those things, the money will come, not by force, but by alignment, not through manipulation, but through meaning. And when it comes that way, it's not just more sustainable, it's more fulfilling, more human, more real. Prospective is essential. Let's not get it twisted. A business cannot survive without it. But where we go wrong is in elevating profit above the mission. When profit becomes the replacement for purpose rather than the fuel for it, something gets lost. The heart gets lost. The why gets lost. And in that shift, what was once meaningful becomes mechanical. But when we understand that profit is the engine that drives the mission, not the destination, it changes how we show up, how we lead, and how we build. The most impactful companies on the planet are profitable, yes, but their profit exists because they pursued something bigger. They didn't start by asking how they could squeeze the most out of their customers, their employees, or their market. They started by asking what kind of world they wanted to help create, what kind of problem they wanted to solve, and how they could serve the people who needed them most. The profit followed, because profit is what allows a business to scale its impact, expand its reach, and reinvest in innovation, people, and growth. Profit, when aligned with purpose, becomes a force multiplier. But when you reverse that equation, when profit becomes the purpose, you start making very different decisions. You start hiring based on cost instead of character. You start cutting resources in areas that actually create value just to make the numbers look good. You start seeing people as line items instead of contributors. And slowly but surely, the mission fades into the background. Culture erodes, engagement drops, and even if the revenue goes up, the company starts to feel hollow. That's not leadership. That's survival mode, masquerading as strategy. The leaders who build enduring organizations understand this. Money is not the mission. It's the oxygen that allows the mission to breathe. It's the resource that allows you to say yes to new hires, to bold ideas, to long-term investments, to community initiatives. Without it, your vision stays small. With it, your vision becomes actionable. But the intent behind how you generate and use that profit is what defines you. Do you reinvest in your people? Do you enhance the customer experience? Do you take care of the environment, the community, the supply chain that makes your business possible? If the answer is yes, that's how profit becomes a powerful tool. Not a scorecard, but a signal of alignment between your values and your execution. It's easy to look at the numbers and make decisions based purely on margins. What's hard is zooming out to see the bigger picture, to ask, will this decision drive short-term revenue at the cost of long-term trust? Will this boost in profit today hurt our ability to innovate tomorrow? Will cutting this budget improve our bottom line while quietly eroding the culture we've worked so hard to build? These are the questions a mission-driven leader asks. Because mission-driven leadership understands that a business isn't just a machine, it's a living, breathing ecosystem. And every dollar you earn is a vote of confidence from your customers that you're doing something right. What you do with that vote is what separates good from great. And let's not forget your people. Your team can feel it when profit replaces purpose. They can feel it in how decisions are made, how recognition is given, how communication is handled. When profit becomes the North Star, employees become disengaged, not because they don't care, but because they don't feel cared for. But when they see that profit is being used to elevate the mission they believe in, to fund initiatives that matter, to support growth that aligns with values, that's when they go all in. That's when they bring their full creativity, energy, and ownership to the table. So yes, make money, be profitable, be wildly successful, but don't lose sight of why you started. Use profit as a tool to go deeper, not drift. Use it to scale your purpose, not replace it. Because at the end of the day, the businesses that endure are the ones who remember that profit is not the point, it's what powers the point. When people talk about loyalty in business, they usually talk about customer loyalty, how to retain clients, build brand ambassadors, reduce churn. But the truth is, loyalty starts inside the business. It starts with the team, the culture, and the reason you exist beyond just making money. And the key ingredient that creates deep, lasting loyalty isn't perks, paychecks, or clever branding. It's purpose. A business driven by purpose doesn't just attract attention, it attracts commitment. It pulls people in because it stands for something. And when people connect with what you stand for, they stay. There's something powerful that happens when an employee knows their work contributes to something bigger than themselves. When they don't just clock in to get a paycheck, but show up because they believe in the mission. the vision, and the values. That kind of connection doesn't come from a company hand. It comes from the top down, from leadership that communicates why the business exists and constantly reinforces that purpose in every decision, every meeting, every conversation. Purpose becomes the thread that ties everything together: strategy, execution, culture, and community. Customers feel it too. They don't just buy what you do, they buy why you do it. If they sense that your business is just another player trying to win market share, they'll forget about you the moment someone else offers a better deal. But if they feel like they're part of your mission, if they align with your purpose, they'll go out of their way to support you. They'll defend your brand. They'll tell their friends. They'll come back. Not because you're the cheapest or the flashiest, but because you mean something to them. Loyalty doesn't live in the product, it lives in the relationship. Purpose also creates clarity. When you know what you stand for, decision-making becomes more focused. You can say no to distractions, opportunities that don't align, or quick wins that might cost you long-term trust. You don't need to chase every trend or mimic your competitors. You stay grounded in your why, and that consistency builds confidence for your customers, your employees, and your stakeholders. People are drawn to certainty, to authenticity, to organizations that are rooted in something deeper than dollars. Purpose provides that root system, and here's where it gets even more important. In times of crisis or uncertainty, purpose is what keeps people anchored. When the market dips, when things get hard, when the path forward isn't clear, companies that are solely driven by profit often panic. But companies grounded in purpose pivot with intention. They rally their people around the mission, adapt their strategies without compromising their values, and come out stronger on the other side. Purpose builds resilience. It keeps people connected even when the road gets bumpy. Let's also talk about recruitment. In today's world, talented people aren't just looking for jobs, they're looking for meaning. They want to know their work matters. They want to contribute to something with heart. When your business has a clearly defined and consistently demonstrated purpose, you attract those people. The ones who aren't just skilled, but emotionally invested. And those people, they don't just work hard, they care. They innovate. They lead. They stay. So if you're trying to build a company that lasts, stop obsessing over loyalty as something to get. Focus instead on the purpose you live. Because purpose is magnetic. It draws people in and makes them want to stay. Not because they have to, but because they choose to. That's the kind of loyalty you can't buy. That's the kind of connection you can't fake. And it all starts with knowing who you are, why you exist, and what you're here to do beyond making money. When that purpose is clear, when it's shared, when it's alive in your culture, loyalty follows naturally. If you strip away all the spreadsheets, strategies, technologies, and targets in business, what you're left with is people. People are the heartbeat of every organization. They're the ones who bring the mission to life, who interact with your customers, who solve the problems, build the products, and deliver the service. And yet in so many companies, we still act like the ultimate measure of success is the bottom line. But what happens when we treat people, not profits, as the most valuable asset in the room? That's when we start building companies that actually thrive from the inside out. A business that prioritizes people, builds a culture where trust is strong, ideas are welcomed, and collaboration becomes the norm, not the exception. It becomes a place where employees feel seen, heard, and valued. And when people feel valued, they give more, not because they're forced to, but because they want to. They bring creativity, ownership, resilience, and loyalty. That kind of energy, it's not something you can buy with bonuses or fake with incentives. It only happens when people feel they matter more than just the metrics, let's be clear. Profits are important, but profits are the outcome of people doing meaningful work. When your team is engaged and supported, when they believe in the mission and feel empowered to contribute, the profits take care of themselves. Companies that focus too heavily on financials at the expense of their people often experience short bursts of success, followed by burnout, high turnover, and a crumbling culture. On the other hand, companies that invest in people-first strategies, things like leadership development, wellness, inclusion, recognition, and feedback, build stronger foundations that can weather any storm. Customers pick up on this too. They can feel when they're being served by someone who loves what they do versus someone who's just checking boxes. That energy carries through every conversation, every transaction. When employees are energized, customers are energized. When employees feel cared for, customers feel cared for. The ripple effect is undeniable. That's why focusing on people isn't just the right thing to do, it's also the smartest. It's a competitive advantage in a world where real human connection is becoming increasingly rare. And this doesn't just apply to internal teams, it's about every human touch point. Vendors, partners, clients, communities. When a business shows up with empathy, integrity, and a genuine concern for the well-being of the people around them, it earns something far more valuable than a quick sale. It earns trust, and trust is the currency that sustains long-term success. It's what turns customers into advocates, employees into leaders, partners into collaborators. It's what turns business into a movement. Leadership has a huge role to play here. It's not enough to say our people are our greatest asset in a company memo. That belief has to be demonstrated daily in how decisions are made, how challenges are handled, how recognition is shared. Are people consulted before big changes? Are voices from all levels of the company being heard? Are failures seen as opportunities for growth rather than reasons for punishment? These are the markers of a people-first culture, and they require conscious, intentional leadership. It's also about making space for humanity in the workplace. Business can't just be about deadlines and KPIs. It has to be about connection. Are people encouraged to bring their full selves to work? Are they allowed to have bad days, to take time off, to ask for help without fear? Are they given opportunities to grow, not just professionally, but personally? Because when people grow, your business grow. And when they feel safe, supported, and inspired, they don't just show up, they show up fully. So if you're building a business or leading one, ask yourself, are we putting people first, or are we just saying it? Because when people become your priority, profits become the byproduct. Many people get into business thinking that money is the goal, that success is measured by how much revenue you bring in, how high your profit margins climb, how fast you scale. But the truth is, money is not the reason, it's the result. It's the natural byproduct of doing something that matters, solving a real problem, building something people actually care about. When you make money your reason for being, you might succeed in the short term. But if you want to build something that lasts, something with soul, with substance, you have to start with something deeper. The most impactful companies, the ones we admire and remember, didn't start with a money-making idea. They started with a cause, a belief, a desire to serve. And because they were relentless about delivering value, about putting people first, about staying true to their mission, the money followed. Not as the end game, but as a signal that they were doing something right. You can't chase numbers and expect meaning to follow. You chase meaning, and the numbers become the evidence that your work is creating impact. When money becomes the main motivator, it warps decision-making. You start optimizing for efficiency over experience, quantity over quality, speed over sustainability. You begin cutting corners, not because you're evil or greedy, but because the system starts rewarding the shortcut instead of the process. It's a slow erosion of integrity, and eventually the business starts feeling hollow. Maybe you're profitable, maybe the numbers look good on paper, but deep down you know something's missing. On the other hand, when purpose is your motivator, everything shifts. You make decisions that are aligned with your values. You attract people, employees, customers, investors who resonate with what you're building. You create an ecosystem that feeds itself, one where people want to be part of your journey. And when people believe in what you're doing, they bring energy, trust, ideas, and commitment. That kind of alignment leads to momentum. And momentum leads to growth, not because you're chasing the dollar, but because you're creating real value that money naturally flows toward. Here's the other thing. When money is the only reason, it's never enough. You hit a milestone and you want the next one. You close a big deal and suddenly it feels small. That constant chase can burn you out. But when you're driven by purpose, when you know why you get out of bed every morning, who you're serving and what kind of impact you want to make, that is sustainable. That kind of feel, as in burnout, it burns brighter, Let's look at leadership through this lens. A leader who is focused solely on hitting financial targets might drive performance, yes. But a leader who is grounded in purpose will inspire performance. They will create a culture where people aren't just working to meet quotas, they're working to fulfill a mission. In that difference, it shows up in the results. Purpose-led teams outperform because they're aligned, engaged, and emotionally connected to the work. And customers, they can feel the difference. They're smart. They know when they're being sold to versus when they're being served. When they sense that your reason is just to make a sale, they'll treat you like a transaction. When they feel that you genuinely want to help to solve their problem, to improve their lives, they'll trust you, they'll stay with you, and they'll tell others about you. So yes, make money, be profitable, run a smart, healthy business. But don't get it twisted. Money is not the mission. It's the result of doing the mission well. When you lead with heart, with integrity, with a desire to serve, the money takes care of itself. And when you look back one day, you won't just be proud of the revenue, you'll be proud of the reason you built it in the first place. Every business needs profit. Let's not pretend otherwise. Profit is what keeps the lights on. It pays your team, funds innovation, allows you to expand, and gives you the freedom to weather storms. It's essential. But when profit becomes the mission instead of fueling the mission, that's when the whole foundation starts to crack. Profit is like oxygen. You need it to survive, but no one wakes up in the morning excited just to breathe oxygen. You wake up for something bigger, something meaningful. And in business, that something bigger is your why, the reason your company exists in the first place. When a business knows its mission clearly, deeply, and unapologetically, profit becomes a tool to amplify that mission, not replace it. It's a means, not an end. With profit, you can do more good. You can hire better talent, improve your systems, reach more people, and scale your impact. But when companies start putting the mission on the back burner to chase profit at any cost, they lose the very thing that made them special. They dilute their culture, they damage their reputation, they trade long-term trust for short-term wins. Let's break this down. Think of businesses that inspire you, the ones that make you feel something, the ones you're loyal to, the ones that stand for something bigger than themselves. They didn't get there by obsessing over quarterly earnings. They got there by staying obsessed with their purpose. And because they stayed aligned with that purpose, they earned trust, loyalty, and yes, profit. But the profit was always in service of the mission, not the other way around. It's easy to lose sight of this, especially when you're under pressure, when investors are demanding growth, when competitors are cutting corners, when markets are shifting fast. That's when businesses start compromising on values, on culture, on people. That's when decisions get made from fear, not from vision, and slowly the mission gets buried under spreadsheets, the story gets lost, the business becomes transactional instead of transformational. But when leaders are grounded in purpose, profit becomes strategic. It's not about hoarding money. It's about reinvesting it where it matters, into your people, into your customers, into innovation, sustainability, and service. Profit becomes a way to extend your reach, deepen your impact, and bring your mission to life on a larger scale. It becomes something powerful and intentional, not just a number to hit, but a resource to use. There's also something to be said about how this mindset attracts the right people. Employees want to work for companies with a mission. Customers want to buy from brands that stand for something. Investors, especially today, are increasingly drawn to businesses that deliver both profit and purpose, because they know that long-term value comes from alignment, not shortcuts, from trust, not trickery, from depth, not just data. And when profit and purpose work together, when one supports the other, you create something sustainable. You build a business that people believe in, a business that grows not just in size, but in significance, one that doesn't just chase trends, but sets them, one that doesn't just respond to the market, but reshapes it. So yes, be smart with your money. Money by itself is neutral. It's paper, numbers on a screen, a tool. What gives money meaning What transforms it into something powerful is how you choose to use it. In business, we often get caught up chasing bigger revenues, higher valuations, and better margins. But the question that really matters is, what are you doing with the money once you have it? Because that's where the true value of money reveals itself. Not in the accumulation, but in the application. Are you using money to build something meaningful? Are you using it to invest in your people, to create better products, to improve your customer experience, to contribute to your community? Or are you just stockpiling it, chasing vanity metrics, and feeding a cycle of more, more, more? When money becomes the scoreboard instead of the resource, you lose sight of why you started in the first place. When you treat money as fuel for something greater, you unlock its true potential. Let's talk about what money can do. Money can be used to create opportunity for others and for yourself. It can be used to take risks that lead to innovation. It can fund education, development, wellness, and growth. It can give your employees a better life, a sense of stability, and the ability to dream bigger. It can allow you to serve customers at a higher level, to give back to causes you believe in, to shift industries and change systems. That's the real power. And it's not about being a nonprofit or some idealist. It's about building a business that recognizes the responsibility that comes with financial success. The businesses that stand the test of time are the ones that ask this critical question. How can we use our resources to do something worthwhile? That doesn't mean ignoring profitability. It means understanding that profit without purpose is hollow. It's a shell. It might look impressive from the outside, but it doesn't last. Purpose-driven businesses, on the other hand, take their profits and turn them into something that matters. They pay people fairly. They create safe, empowering work environments. They improve lives. They leave a legacy. This is especially important in leadership. If you're a founder, a CEO, a team lead, your attitude toward money sets the tone. If you model a mindset of stewardship, of using money wisely, intentionally, and generously, it creates a ripple effect. Your team starts thinking not just about hitting targets, but about creating impact. Your customers begin to see your brand not just as a service, but as a statement. Your investors recognize that they're backing something sustainable, not just scalable. It's also worth noting, using money well builds trust. Whether it's reinvesting in your team, improving your product, or supporting the community, people notice how you show up. And when they see you choosing impact over indulgence, mission over margin, they lean in. They want to be part of what you're doing. That kind of loyalty can't be bought. It's earned through how you handle what you have. Even in tough times, this mindset matters. When resources are limited, your decisions around money become even more telling. Do you cut corners or do you double down on values? Do you protect the mission or compromise it to save a few bucks? These choices define the soul of your business. They define your reputation. They define whether you're in this just to make money or to make something meaningful with money. So at the end of the day, don't just ask how much you can earn. Ask what your earnings allow you to do. What kind of culture can you build? What kind of problems can you solve? What kind of future can you create, not just for your company, but for everyone it touches? Because when you see money as a tool for transformation, not just a trophy, you unlock a level of impact that goes far beyond the balance sheet. You start building a legacy, not just a livelihood.